Hey there, my name's Chris Winter, and in this video I'm going to go through some of the best travel cameras for 2019, so hopefully I can help you figure out which one is going to be the right one for you and which one's also going to be the right one for your budget, and hopefully you'll be able to figure out exactly what camera will be right for you. By the way guys, I'm currently doing a massive camera giveaway to one lucky subscriber. You can win either a Canon M50, a Canon T7 or a Nikon D3500 and a lens of your choice from my epic lens list, which you can see in the description box below. All you need to do to enter is leave a comment on this video and tell me which camera and lens from the list you want to win. And guys, also definitely make sure to check out my brand new list that I just made, the best cameras for travel. I go through some of the cameras that would be best for you. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description box below this video and you can take a look. But anyway, let's now jump into it and talk about some of the best travel cameras for 2019. All right, so in this video, I want to give you guys a few options that I would recommend for travel cameras and cameras in general that are quite easy to take around, not too big, but also work well if you're going to be going internationally or across the States to take some photos. Now, I've been reviewing cameras for 5 or 6 years now, and I've seen a lot of different cameras and they've really changed a fair bit over the last few years. Now, when I first got into the world, a lot of cameras were a lot larger. So they would be DSLRs like this one here. This is a Canon SL2 or 200D, and it's got an 18 to 135 millimeter lens on it. This is actually something that I would recommend for quite a lot of people, especially if you're getting into the world of photography and you really want to step up your game from something like a smartphone or a point and shoot camera. So why would I recommend the Canon SL2 or 200D? Well, for a few different reasons. Firstly, it is an interchangeable lens camera, so you can take the lens on and off and change it as you please. So at the moment we've got an 18 to 135 on it, which if you don't know, 18 to 135 means that it can shoot at a wide angle of 18 millimeters, and it can also zoom in to 135 millimeters. Now the 18 to 135 is also a really nice lens because it's got an SDM motor, which means that it's got really good autofocus in both stills and video mode, which is actually a really nice thing because this camera here can also shoot really quite nice video. It does still shoot in 1080p, but for me, it doesn't really make a big difference. And if you're going to be traveling, the internet connection might not be perfect, so uploading things like 4K files probably isn't going to be your #1 priority. The other thing I really like about the Canon SL2, and one of the reasons why I think it's quite good if you're going to be traveling, is that we have a flip out screen, and you can see it right here. This is a fully articulating screen, which means that it can flip out, can also be turned down, can also be turned up so you can see it when you're looking down, and it can even turn exactly to the front, which is quite nice as well if you're going to be taking things like selfies or if you're going to be doing group shots and you really want to make sure that the picture's in focus and in frame. So that's one of the great things about the Canon SL2. It really is a nice little camera for that. And if you are traveling, I often give this tip, and I'm sure you guys have probably heard it before. One of the great things is that you can actually close the screen, so there's no LCD here, it's just a back hard cover. When you're traveling, you're not going to be scratching it up or possibly damaging it. Now, what would be the reason of not having something like a Canon SL2 or 200D? Well, even though this is a relatively small DSLR, I mean in comparison to things like the Canon 70D or the 80D, this is a really small DSLR, it is still quite big. I mean, this isn't something you can put in your pocket, unless you've got really big pockets, and especially with a larger lens like this, the Canon 200D is still quite big. So there are a few other options that you could take a look at. Now in 2019, this is definitely going to be one of the more popular cameras, and it's a very popular camera in 2018 as well, and it's this one here. This is the Canon M50. Now I've got a couple of other brands we're going to talk about, Panasonic, Nikon, Sony as well, but at the moment I'm just going to focus on Canon just here. The Canon M50 is a fantastic camera as well for a few different reasons as well. It's quite similar to the Canon SL2. It's got fantastic dual pixel autofocus for video and for stills. It's incredibly quick for autofocus, so you're not going to be missing all of your photos. But this one here actually shoots in 4K. So if that's something that you're very interested in, this could be the one for you. Now, what are the benefits of shooting in 4K? Well, it's only for video first off, so it's not a big issue if you're going to be doing stills. All of these cameras are very similar in terms of still quality. But being able to shoot in 4K means you can crop your images or your video, so you can zoom in, pan around the screen. And it also allows you to get a sharper image. Of course, it's going to be more pixels, so that's definitely something to take into consideration. Now, how did they get this camera here to be a lot smaller? Well, the reason is because this is what's called a mirrorless camera. So I'll just quickly take the lens off here, and you'll be able to see that we've actually got the camera sensor right there. And I won't keep it off too long. Whereas with something like a Canon SL2, you're going to have a mirror in front of that sensor right there, which obviously, because it has to be there, makes the camera a little bit smaller. So for a lot of people, this might be the better option because it is a smaller camera. Again, you can still change the lenses. There is a smaller lens range on the Canon M50 because it's a different lineup. This is a really nice camera, and it's definitely something I would look into as well. Now, another camera that I really do like, if we are going to go back to DSLRs, is this one here. This is a brand new camera from Nikon, and it's called the Nikon D3500. If you're in America, you'll probably be calling it a Nikon camera, but I really do like the D3500, and it's actually even better than its older predecessor for travel because it's a much smaller body. Now, compared to the SL2, it's quite similar. Obviously, I've got a larger lens here. This one here is an 18 to 55mm kit lens. But the D3500 is a really nice camera for travel again because it's not heavy, it's not going to weigh you down, and it's probably going to fit in your day pack if you want to take it around. Now, a few things that I don't particularly like about this camera, especially compared to something like the M50 or the SL2, we don't have that flip screen. So we'll only be able to see the screen and your photos when you're right directly behind it. So if you're going to be taking a photo up high and say you're at a concert, in Europe or something, it might be a little bit difficult to actually see the screen. It's totally possible, and for most people, they're still going to be taking photos using the viewfinder right here, but it is something to take into consideration. The other thing is if you want to take video and you want to take it a little bit more serious, maybe you want to do some vlogging or something like that, there is no microphone jack, unfortunately, on the D3500. So you won't be able to add an external mic. Of course, it does have a built-in microphone, but that's something to take into consideration. Now, an older camera of mine that I still really like, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen this if you've been part of my channel for a while, is this one here. It's the Panasonic GM1, and I'll tell you what, I still use this one every single time I go away. This is a fantastic camera, and this one here also can change its lens. So it's actually the world's smallest interchangeable lens camera. Again, you can take it off and you can see that we've got the sensor right there. You always have to be a little bit careful if you've got no mirror in front. Even if you've got a mirror, you still want to be careful that you're not getting dust and that. Oh, sorry. But the GM1 really is a fantastic pocket-sized camera. There are a few more cameras these days coming out that are a lot smaller, so they might be able to compete a little bit more with something like your phone in terms of portability, but I really do like this GM1. And one thing that I really like as well is something that you can see right here. I might try and put a link to these in the description. I found these just recently. I've got my camera strap here. It's a nice leather strap, but I've got these little clips here that allow me to quickly and easily remove this. And now I don't have the shoulder strap on there anymore, which is actually quite useful, especially if you're going to be doing something like video where you don't always want to have that shoulder strap on. What's really cool though is that now I have these on my Canon SL2. I can quickly and easily click them on just with these little tabs. And now I have my quick and easy shoulder strap as well. Honestly, these were only a few dollars on eBay or Amazon, if I always remember, and they're really, really nice. I think they're no brand, so they're really cool as well. Little tips when you're traveling. Other than that, now the GM1. Oh, sorry if this is a bit of a rambling video, but I quite enjoy doing these rambling videos these days a little bit more. The GM1 is not in production anymore. You can still find it on places like Amazon and eBay. It's a little bit more difficult, but they do make a few other cameras. They make the GM5. The only difference between the GM5 and the GM1 is that the GM5 has an inbuilt viewfinder. It's still got an LCD screen on the back, but it's got a pop-up viewfinder, which is actually quite nice. There's also the GX8, the GX9, GX7. There's all of these different cameras. There's the GF9. Look, pretty much all of these cameras are going to serve one purpose. They're going to allow you to get really quite nice photos in a smaller body, and that's really what I'd be going for with a travel camera. It doesn't have to be the best camera quality unless you're going for paid work. So that's what I generally recommend. I recommend bringing a smaller camera and just making sure that you've got a camera to actually be there when you need to take the shots. Often these days, I still take a lot of photos with my iPhone. I'm using an iPhone 10, so the quality is really quite good. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get the bokeh or the background blur that you get on your DSLR or a mirrorless camera. There are artificial apps that do it, but most of the time, I'd rather not be weighted down too much by a big camera instead of just having, you know, something that actually fits and that's easy to take along with me all the time. And guys, also definitely make sure to check out my brand new list that I just made, the best cameras for travel. I go through some of the cameras that would be best for you. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description box below this video and you can take a look. By the way guys, I'm currently doing a massive camera giveaway to one lucky subscriber. You can win either a Canon M50, a Canon T7 or a Nikon D3500 and a lens of your choice from my epic lens list, which you can see in the description box below. All you need to do to enter is leave a comment on this video and tell me which camera and lens from the list you want to win. So there you go guys, that was a little bit of an idea of the best travel cameras for 2019. Hopefully you enjoyed it and hopefully you guys enjoy your travel trip wherever you go.